My boss took credit for my work, then humiliated me in front of her friends, and when I finally stood up for myself, she tried to blacklist me, so I exposed her in a way she never saw coming and couldn't do anything about. When I was 28, I got a job as a personal assistant to an influencer, but not just any influencer. I'm talking 5 million followers on IG and can ruin you with a single post-level influencer. We'll call her Annie. I worked 24-hour shifts for Annie, 12 hours by her side, 12 hours on call. I was exhausted, but because we spent so much time together, she had full trust in me. At some point, she even started letting me edit her photos, making her waist slimmer before posting. But then one day, she told me to organize a gathering with all her influencer friends for the cookbook she was launching. She offered me a small bonus, and added that I could actually attend this gathering too. This was the first time she'd ever done either of those things, so I was definitely suspicious. But given she was my boss, and I was actually curious to see what the get-togethers were like, I accepted. Big mistake. The weeks leading up to it were relentless. Turns out she didn't even have a cookbook planned. It was my task to create it from scratch in 4 weeks. 100 pages of recipes, designs, her About Me section, everything. I was up to my neck in work. I became a walking zombie, running off a gram of caffeine per day to keep me sane. What's even worse is she took all the credit. We'd be getting our pedicures, and whilst I was researching non-copyrighted gluten-free brownie recipes, she'd be on her phone, talking about how excited she was for the cookbook and how the recipes were all her. This definitely frustrated me, but I bit my tongue and accepted this was show business. And then just days before the gathering, she started acting weird. She became more snappy, paranoid, but only around me. She said she liked the cookbook though, so I had no idea what the problem was. All I know is that the day before, she called me and angrily barked orders at me to 5 times the amount of food I'm cooking for the party tomorrow. I tried to tell her it wasn't possible, but she said to figure it out, and if I can't, I'm fired. I stayed up all night cooking, even paying a private chef $500 to spend the next day helping me. By the time I showed up to the gathering, I hadn't slept in 37 hours. I brought all the meals with me in a minivan that I hired out of my own money, and the first thing I was met with was Annie shouting at me for only being 6 hours early. I didn't have the energy to argue, so I nodded and apologized. I spent the next 6 hours setting everything up, including the food, while Annie just kept trying dresses on. Eventually, people started showing up. Everything was going smoothly, until Annie struck. Me, her, and 2 of her friends were talking about how great the food she made was, when Annie interrupted. You know, I asked Julie over here to make me an omelet once, and she almost set my kitchen on fire. Everyone began chuckling, and because I was too tired to respond, I chuckled too. Well, Annie took this as my approval. Her last boyfriend even left her because of it. She even called me once seriously asking how to turn on the oven. Remember that, Julie? Everyone was laughing so hard they were wheezing. Then someone said, "How do you do it, Annie? You created a whole cookbook in 4 weeks, organized this party, and attended a stray dogs volunteer shelter. You're one of a kind." Just like that, everyone was complimenting Annie. She was basking in it, and I was going to let her, but that's when she took it too far. Before I knew it, Annie was calling me dumb, ditzy, stupid, an idiot, even saying she should fire me, all as a joke. Everyone was doubling over at my expense, but when the conversation shifted back to Annie's recipes, I saw my chance to ruin her. You know, Annie, because you're such an amazing chef, I actually prepared something for you. I went to go get a chef's hat, then came back up to Annie before getting everyone's attention. Some of you might have noticed there's one dessert from the book missing on the tables. That's because Annie wanted to cook it in front of everyone. Her eyes went wide, but before she could protest, everyone erupted in cheers and applause. Now, you may be thinking she could have just refused or exposed me, but